welcome everybody to the next installment of Conversations with Russ and Don, or Don and Russ. We're just kind of here having a conversation with you and with each other about things that are going on in our real estate market. A couple of quick notes. We're going to drop things along the way that we might even give something away at the end of today. Don, what do you think?
Yeah, we probably can.
Yeah, so make sure you're paying attention all the way through, taking notes. We'll let you know when something's important. And we're going to be doing this on a regular basis, just talking about what's going on in the market, in our businesses as real estate agents, and of course, things that can help us be more successful. So we thought today we'd have a little fun and begin our series on how to choose a broker, how to choose a real estate broker to be in partner with, and specifically dive into some of the commitments, one in particular today, that brokers make initially when attempting to entice an agent to come on board, because that's their number one job, to bring people on and grow the company. So Don, what topic are we going to cover today on these broker promises?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we'll go with furnishing leads, because it seems like such a big draw, especially today. I'm watching the industry is influxing a lot of agents. Now there's a lot of them leaving because of the timing, right? But yeah, what's interesting is there's more licenses being new licenses coming in. And I think what happens is people are checking in their mind. They're like, oh, this broker is going to furnish leads for me. Well, that makes total sense, right? We want that. So I think let's work on that one today, because I think that's one of the biggest lies. And I say lies, that's pretty harsh, but I do see it that way, because I think it's one of those over promises and under delivers that is very common. And I think the reason for it is because it is so sexy. It's a huge attraction. And agents want it to be easy. They think this world that we're in is going to be simple. It's big money. Don't work hard. You got time, time to yourself. I mean, it's going to be awesome, right? What do they get into real estate for? Make more money and have more time. And the reality is, of course, within a few months, they figure out they don't have either of those two things, generally speaking. But I'm saying that the nature of the lead promise is a pretty heavy pull.
So let me have a little fun with that, because, I'm always looking at that coaching conversation, always looking for what's right. That's one of the things that I focus on, is looking at what's right and how we get better. And I believe in my heart that most brokers think that they can do that they can do it at a high level. They've heard from Zillow or Realtor.com or one of the lead sources maybe they're writing checks to, that these are amazing leads. And so instead of lie, let's just call it a broken promise, because they aren't able to deliver a lot of times, because the people that have given them commitments aren't able to deliver either. And that's what it comes down to. So let's talk about these lead sources, Don. And Zillow, number one, that a lot of brokers write checks to. What the heck's the downside of writing checks to Zillow? And then number two, the quality of those Zillow leads. What are some of the things you see?
I'm sure someday Zillow is going to come after me, but I have a slide in one of my presentations. Well, almost any presentation, if I deal with Zillow, I show it as the evil empire, and there's a big dark force with a lightsaber, and it might look a little bit like Darth Vader. I'm just saying, and I see them as being the scourge. And I think that it's interesting, because what they've really done, and just to put it in perspective, what they've really done is they have created a whole business model around our leads, our listings, our work, everything. They've gone on our coattails, and yet then they sell that information right back to us, which is mind-boggling, right? And they are also intentionally moving into the real estate space, which means their real intention is with your money. And I'm saying this to all the viewers, right? With your money, they're coming after your business and going to work to build a brokerage that puts your brokerage out of business, which is, again, how do we not see that? But anyway, let's go back to your original.
And it's already happening in multiple markets where Zillow has opened up a brokerage. They hire employee agents at 50, 60 grand a year. That's it. Right. And those employees are now the ones that are getting. Well, which leads do you think they get when Zillow's got a lead they've talked to and pre-qualified? If they have a brokerage in that market, where do you think the cream of the crop goes?
Exactly.
So now
Exactly.
agents are writing checks and paying for stuff that, from what I've heard from people, a poor return on investment. And I'm just going to share absolute transparency. My first year in the business, guess who else bought Zillow leads? All right. All right. So I'm not without fault, Don. My first year in Austin, Texas, I spent a year, I signed a year contract, wrote a large 5-figure check ultimately to Zillow, and did not have a single lead convert. Had a very low percentage even respond or communicate after an initial conversation.
Well, by the way, just to put that in perspective for those that don't know you, you have a very high conversion rate. You're very effective in scripting and the words you use, and you're very good at what you do. And granted, it was your first year. You may not have been as good, but I'm just saying it's not because you weren't adequate. It was because the leads aren't there. But I think I want to go back to this because I think that Zillow is one reason, and I know people that have built their entire models of building, of recruiting agents around it. I know people that have built teams, and then they're the big Zillow buyer, and they'll spend $70,000 a month on Zillow leads. And if you go through it, the pain is for the agents that have to make those calls and deal with those leads because they're so bad. It's not bad for the broker. It's not bad for the team leader. It's not bad for them at all. They feel nothing about that, right? It's like, I'm not having to do the rejection, but the leads are low quality. They are not only leads that Zillow's getting, but keep in mind, if I'm looking up real estate leads, if I'm a consumer, I'm looking through real estate sites, I'm a lead that's going to many different places, right? Many different people are dealing with me, and I have no loyalty to anything because my loyalty is to finding a house. And of course, you've got to know my background is in personal branding and marketing. And I'm always like, I don't even care about the house marketing. I want to make sure that they choose me as the person who will find them a house, who will list their property. I want them to make a realtor choice, not a house choice. But anyway, that's a different subject for a different day. But I think back to.
It is a great one though, because you're talking about the relationship.
Yeah.
Versus the transaction. In any lead source, lead sources bring transactional people.
Yes, they do. That
agents are attempting to make relationships, and yet most of them already have a relationship somewhere. It's like so many other places that we get quote leads where there's already a relationship in the background, and we are now just the information provider.
Yeah.
And so most of these lead sources, that's what they turn out to be. And we talked about Zillow, and yet there's realtor.com and there's Facebook advertising that people do as, the broker. So now there's degrees of separation. I know with you, and you're the marketing guy and I'm the hunting guy, you've got some incredible marketing strategies where people can generate their own leads. And it's already got a preconceived relationship. It's not based on the house, it's based on the person.
They're calling because they want to do business with you.
Yeah.
Which is the huge advantage, right? And that's the downside to the lead, the sexy lead that we're going to go grab from a broker. And of course, you're in that place where you're thinking in terms of prospecting, but using your own database, using what you already have, who's already in your world to generate leads. And people overlook that. They don't know. And of course, they're afraid to call mom and dad and all that stuff. And that's not the answer, but there is plenty of stuff in your phone.
Oh yeah.
That is going to, bring lead generation to a higher level. And those are the things that people don't see. So they join the company. They join the company because of the promise of it. And what are the realities? Well, the reality is this. I'm going to see if I can put a punctuation mark on this one. And that is from the earliest days of real estate when house ads, not Zillow, not realtor.com, when home magazines were ruling the world. And we would put our house ads in there in our little picture. And we were like the interchangeable body part and people were calling on those. And we had what we called floor time. And floor time was we sat and answered all the calls for the office. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. And answered all the calls for the whole office so that we got the occasional lead. Oh, I got one, right? It was, oh my God, thank you. But anyway, and from that day forward, there's never been a time that any broker, any brokerage has ever been able to provide enough leads to make everybody successful. How do we know? Look around at every brokerage. You've got successful and you've got not successful. How is that possible? If we're furnishing the leads, how is it possible you'd have a disparity between top and bottom? Because that's not what makes these people successful. And it's certainly where these people fail is we think that's going to be our answer. And that's true of the biggest companies in the world. That's true of the smallest brokerages in the world. That is just the truth of leads from the broker. It's never going to be enough to make you successful.
Well, what I love too is that you talked about magazines, newspapers for our new agents. Newspapers were these real thin pieces of paper that we would sit and read like every morning or every Sunday. And in the back of them were all these ads. And I love the fact that you're pointing out that advertising piece again. And yes, I absolutely want people to learn how to effectively communicate with their sphere of influence, with their database, not coming across with give me business and commission breath, rather coming across from a point of contribution and service and help, and the business will show up. Absolutely. And then I'm still, though, about adding to that database, meeting new people. That's part of prospecting too, is other ways to do that. And I know we're going to be talking about that in future elements. And so to really wrap this up, and I like where you went on that, the promise of leads, what you really should be looking for is the promise of converting leads. And you're already sitting on those. Most brokers already know the highest and best lead source you already have. And so we're going to talk about that in later sessions and get you guys learning how to access yours, because we're going into a radically different market. The last 3-4 years, what you've seen in real estate, what we've experienced in real estate is everybody's been an order taker. That's really been it. Business has shown up. It's shown up in droves. And as long as you were doing the right things, you had a flow of business. And all of a sudden now it's starting to slow down, even stop. It reminds me a little of 2008, what I'm hearing on the street. Now, it may not be the same. And yeah, I know people are getting pensive. They're getting concerned. So one thing I know Dawn and I would love to do, I'm going to throw it out there, Dawn. If you will comment below, let us know, give us some feedback, give us some topics you'd like us to talk about. We are each going to grab one of those randomly. We might even have a assistant of ours, and we'll teach you guys. It's another great topic, by the way, Don, how to manage an assistant. Pull one at random. And are you willing to give a 30-minute business assessment, Don?
I was going there. I figured that. Yeah, that was all right. That was my offer.
And so will I. So this is the beginning of something new. We're having a lot of fun with this and look forward to spending time with each and every one of you over the next, who knows, this might be a lifetime of giving back. The real estate community has given us both amazing lives, and we absolutely love being a part of your business and sharing this crazy industry with you. Don, wrap it up.
Hey, biggest thing I want to say is we think about the broker leads, broker promises, especially the new agent who's looking for that, but it might even be the frustrated agent who's not succeeded looking for answers through that. I'm going to tell you, your security is never going to be in your broker's hands. It's never going to be in the brokerage. It's always going to be in your hands. And that is your security. And of course, if you come out of a job and this is now your next venture, you're used to having a job take care of you, that there are things we have as a job. And this is a business. And with that mindset goes, I have to start taking responsibility and being accountable to my time and my results. And so we're going to give you a lot of ways to see that, to experience that as you're growing in your business. And if you're a veteran, I guarantee we're going to have stuff for you to pay attention. So Russ, awesome. I love it. Broker leads, not the answer. And you are the answer.
Any lead source other than the ones you're creating through either prospecting or marketing is not the answer.
Not the answer.
So let's get to work. Let's be doing the right things. Don, thanks for coming and playing with me today. And we will be doing it again real soon, I know.
You got it, man. Take care, guys.
Bye.